You guys all good?
Wonderful.
All right. First of all, thank you for everybody for coming. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting last 6 weeks, to say the least. But we hope you enjoy what's getting ready to happen. It's going to be, we're recording all the sessions, so if you can't make one or two or whatever, don't worry about it. You can request the recordings, and we're happy to give you those. Obviously, don't share them. We're trying to keep this, at least somewhat organized so we can make sure that we're following up with the people and continue on doing things for different people. One of the things I wanted to talk about first, one of the reasons I want to talk first is just basic site structure, basic things that even web design companies should do. We all know they don't do, but it's something, just the bare bone basics of starting off a successful project. So let me share my screen here. All right. Can everybody see my screen? A little bit about me. I was in the Navy from 1982 to 1989. One of the best years of my life, obviously. I was a nuclear welder. I was actually Sailor of the Year for 1988 for the West Coast, which was pretty neat because I got accelerated, advanced, and some other bonuses and everything. I was the IT director for Phelps Dodge after that for about 8 years, so to speak. Elizabeth and I owned a large real estate flipping business until the crash happened in 2010-11. I do own Salterra with my wife and our kids, and I'm partners with Justin, and we have a company called Infinity Ranking. Basically, we're a family business. We do everything. I'm actually a software developer. I started developing software 1991. So that's kind of my background. We got into web dev, and then we started getting into the SEO and some other stuff. Elizabeth handles all the web design and graphic design for the business. Skyler, my son, he's our domain buyer. We buy lots and lots and lots of domains. So he buys our domains. He runs our autopilot system and some other linking tools that we'll get into. We started in 2010 with just web design and software development, and then I was forced into SEO 2013. I kind of specialized in churches, charities, and foundations. So when I saw one of my foundations were just spending a ton of money on SEO and not really knowing much about it, I told her we would take it on, and that's kind of how we learned. So, and we have VAs in Serbia, Costa Rica, and India, and I think Argentina now. I didn't update that. So basically, basic elements of a website. And it's unfortunate we have to start here, but as a lot of us know, web designers and SEO people, don't really commingle well together. So a lot of web designers don't have a clue about site structure for search engine optimization, and it's always a good place to start. So when we take on a project or a web design project or SEO project, we always start with keyword research before we do anything else. I'm not going to get into a lot about keyword research. If you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to show you how we do it. But it's basically just finding out what are the services you want to do, where are the locations you want to go, and what are the terms around those situations. So we even do that, especially on a new project, before we even get into buying a domain name. Domain names are very, very important, especially how you grow your business and how you expand your business. So we're going to talk a little bit about URL structure, a little bit about meta tags, title tags, body content, linking, footer, sidebar, so on and so forth. To give you an idea of what we're going to do on this one, we're going to just use Salterra, my company, our company, as a project. So we have basically 4 main services. We have web design, SEO, internet marketing, and software development. And we're a nationwide company. We really target 3 states, and then we target the 5 biggest cities within those states. And as we expand, we just do it very strategically as far as what states we want to expand into. So basically, when we look at a site structure, we try to figure out what is the site going to need. So If we have 4 service pages, 3 state pages, and 15 city pages, then we know that's a potential page count of probably brand new pages. So typically, some people might have service pages built out. They're almost always inadequate. And then we have to, as for a local SEO project, we have to add in all the different geolocated targets pages. And then you have your supported content pages. These are pages that will go dig down deeper if the search terms allow. So one of the things that we'd like to look at is when we're talking, say, web design. Well, web design and web development are 2 completely different search structures. Most people don't know the difference as far as the consumer, but they're searched differently. So when we go after and we say we're going to go after web design, we might also have a sub page for development, or a sub page for e-com, a sub page for franchise, whatever we're talking about. So, and we always count on blog pages. Blog pages are the supporting content for the best of type topics, best things to do type topics, and those will always be supportive to the content that you have for pages. And then we always make the same amount of service pages or same amount of blog pages we do external pages. And these we use for external linking. So whether we use it for press releases, whether we use it for SEO autopilot, some of our other tools, we always pre-plan to have this content ready. Then you have the standard pages that every website has: contact, about, terms of service, policy. The location pages, we do state pages. On the state pages, we might list local citations. And I'm going to show you some of this stuff later on in the presentation. But info about the city, and then, of course, a map to that location. And if it's driving directions, if we're in Tempe and we want to have a driving directions from Phoenix. So typically, before we even start the projects, we know we're going to need or add 71 pages to this project. And it just gives you a good starting point for the content writers to start writing content. URL structure. This is like one of my big things, and I learned the hard way. So when I first started our business, we did a bunch of exact match domains. And at the time, they were working really well. So when we had, as we started to grow and expand, we started to find the reasons why exact match domains aren't always the best. So a little bit about what we do now is there's 3 different domains. You have a brand only, which is Salterra, whatever your company name. And it typically doesn't have a service installed in it or a location. Partial match, it can be Salterra web design for service. It can even be Salterra Phoenix for location. The differences of the bullet points get pretty substantial. So the brand only, you basically have full expansion ability. So if let's say, for instance, that you're in Massachusetts and you want to expand into New York, it's very easy to do that with a branded website. So it's best for multiple services and locations. It's best for growth and expansion, and it's best for authority and power. Authority and power is probably the biggest things that we have to try to do for our clients or our own websites, because that's when it starts getting into, how powerful are you in your space? How much authority do you have in your space? Are you somebody that Google says, hey, no matter what, I'm going to send search terms to this website because they do have authority and power and all the stuff that goes with it. Partial match domains are good for specific services and / multi-locations. They're good for growth into new locations. They're not good for introducing new services. So Salterra web design, it'd be different and more difficult to do /SEO because there's 2 separate entities. They're 2 separate topics in Google's mind, in the search engine's mind, and even in the consumer's mind. Exact match, like I said, this is where we started. I own a bunch of exact match domains, still have websites on a bunch of them. But they're really only good for one service and one location. They're not good for service or expansion or new locations. And the challenge is not to over optimize the URL structure as you start building out your blogs and inside pages. So just be aware of that type of stuff. I put a little examples over here, how we lay out structures. There's lots of conversations out there about, should I put the city name first before the service name before the city? In our testing, it really doesn't matter. So as long as you don't over optimize it. So on the brand only type of system, then you just have your web design page. You have a Massachusetts web design page. You have a Boston web design page. And a partial match, that's the question mark, is where do you start? You can't really do salterrawebdesign.com/web design, because now you're over optimizing. Web development, you probably could, but it's going to be some keyword overlap there. And then of course you can do webdesign.com/Massachusetts and /Boston. Exact match. Oops. Sorry about that. Exact match, the bostonwebdesign.com, you can do a /Massachusetts, but then what? So you kind of really have to protect yourself here. You can try to go to a different city in Massachusetts, but again, it's getting harder and harder these days to expand your initial domain structure out as far as locations and service. All right, a little bit about titles, descriptions, and H tags. I know this is super basic, but we all see this, and I even see it from people that'll send me their websites to audit, and it's a very simple structure. It's not hard to do, and if you do the same thing all the time, you're just going to be that much more successful. So if we have on the home page, one of my big pet peeves on a local website is they will take the home page and make it their city page. They want the home page to rank for their Dallas plumber page, or Dallas plumber keyword. Well, if your website is abcplumber.com and you want Dallas to be the front page, unfortunately, as we all know, your front page can't take all the you can't take all the keyword rankings. You have to spread the keyword rankings out. So when we set up site structures, we only want the home page to rank for very broad stuff, branded, company names, maybe some images. We really don't want it to be the quote unquote money page. So on the home pages, we just do a brand keyword in the title. We do a brand keyword in the description. We'll do a brand keyword in the H1, only one H1, and at the top of the page. Keep arguing with me, it's fine. So keyword variable in H2, keyword variable in H3, and then keyword in the body of the text. That's kind of like the simple rules. So if you keep the simple rules, you're going to be 90% ahead of every other website out there that comes from a web design company. So some examples, the title, like I said, this is a broad one. So I want to make sure that we say what all we're doing. So Salterra Web Services, providing web design, SEO, internet marketing, and software development. Descriptions, same thing. Salterra specializes in helping businesses with all things digital, web design, SEO, internet marketing, and software development. Contact Salterra today. H1 would be Salterra Web Services. Dang it. Sorry. H2 would be the best web design, maybe, and H3 might be Salterra Web Design Services. If there is a web design paragraph, of course, I'm going to have a link to the web design page that's inside, which I'll show you that in a little bit. All right. Any questions so far before I go into site structure and styling? Anybody?
Hold on.
You look back up here real quick. Yes.
Are you linking each service page to each city page to provide geo-relevancy, or what are you using to get secondary keywords for local ranking?
Yeah, I'm going to show you all that. That's the next slide, actually. Okay, so let's go on. All right. This is how I set up our site structure for Salterra. So, and we planned this out from, we decided to do a complete redesign about 18 months ago, before the last SEO spring training. We wanted to map out the whole thing and how the internal linking structure was going to be. So these blue lines are all the links. So the web design silo, we have business websites, we have church websites, we have e-commerce websites, and we also do hosting. So all these are interlinked between inside the web design. We don't do any cross-linking. My opinion on siloing is if somebody's looking for a web design, they really don't need SEO marketing or development yet. So we try to keep them within the same realm of what they're searching for. And it has improved tremendously. Our conversion rate is up, our on page, or excuse me, time on page is up. All the different variables are up since we went to this silo structure. Same thing with SEO, marketing, and development. So all these sub pages just enhance the main service page. Now, when you go into this is our local structure. So Arizona has its own state page. And then we have obviously Web Design Arizona and SEO Arizona. I also have internet marketing and software development. But underneath Web Design, we have a Phoenix page, a Scottsdale page, a Mesa page, and a Tempe page. Same with SEO. So we follow the same structure, but they don't link to each other. The only way they link to each other is from the top tier page for Arizona. So Arizona will link to this SEO, Web Design, and they will also link back. So it just kind of gives you an idea how we do siloing. There's different ways to do it. We found this way to be the simplest as far as structure, and then we can add to it. If we do blog posts or whatever about web design, then obviously we would be linking from that blog post to whatever topic within web design it comes to. Again, we don't do any cross linkings. So just to kind of give you an idea. Anything there? Let's see. Okay. All right, perfect. Good deal. Okay, so basically, here's our actual structure. If you want to go to salterrasite.com and look at this, this is how it is. So our homepage menu system, and you'll see our silo even works at the top nav. So our homepage has all our different services. You know, we targeted keywords for the homepage, you know, just broad, web design, SEO, they're all linking to their respective internal pages. The target market is national for the homepage. And then the old keywords, when I first started our company, we went after everything affordable, which was okay until about 2 years ago when we had keyword cannibalization like crazy. You know, I used to brag that we're 7 of the top 10 for certain search terms. Well, I forget which animal update it was, but one of the updates kind of wiped out at least 5 of those. So we knew we had an issue. So when we started talking about how we're going to restructure Salterra, this is the whole thing we did. So, so we took away the homepage keywords and we went just after broad. And then once you get into the inside, so if you click on that web design link, then the web design silo is the same thing. It's no SEO stuff up here. It's all strictly about web design in the main nav. Target keywords for web design now get more specific. We don't send links to the web design to the homepage. We'll send links to the web design page. The target market for web design is national, Arizona, Texas, Nevada, Colorado. Actually, we took Nevada out right now, so we're just doing Arizona, Texas, and Colorado. And the old keyword was affordable web design. It's pretty interesting how all this works out. So SEO silo, same thing. Main nav is only SEO. You can't cross anything. Obviously, you go home, you can go to web design. But we're trying to keep everybody where they came from within their own silo, to stop confusing people, to stop bounce rates, to do all kinds of stuff. So same thing, we have our target keywords, we have our target markets, and then we have the old keyword structure. And we had to kind of unmarket the old keyword structure to change it for this. We actually have an inside page now for that, which I'll show you. So same thing, internet marketing stuff on top, same type of thing down below. Software development, same type of silo. So everything's pre-planned out. Everything is done specifically on purpose. Our crawl map now looks like this. So we've got a very clean crawl map. So our crawl map is very specific linking. This is all internal structure. So when we first started this process, the crawl map was literally all over the place. And so when we stepped back and we started removing links and changing links and adding links and doing some different types of structure that we went through before, it really started cleaning up the map of the crawl. So, and we check this constantly, because if I see a page out here in lingo, we'll try to figure out where the heck that link came from. And this is what happens when you have a successful site structure. I don't know if you guys can see this, but the main thing, don't pay attention to the ranking so much, but I want you to pay attention to the inside pages are ranking for the terms that they should be. So, you know, I don't want the home page ranking up here for everything. The home page can't take it. So we want the inside pages to rank for the terms for the inside pages. So we've kind of killed off the cannibalization of it, and we've kind of boosted everything else. So, and this is something else, and we'll show you. I think tomorrow I'm talking about schema, and this is the results of our schema. This is a year and a half ago, but I just wanted to show you on this screen just that the inside pages are ranking for the inside terms. The first thing I see when I take on new projects is the home page is all over the place and the inside pages aren't anywhere to be found. So it's one of the first things we do is start changing the silo and the page structure of the website. Let me see where we at. Okay, so basic schema. Like I said, I'm going to go into super advanced stuff with Clint, I think tomorrow. Not really sure. I'll have to look at that. But basic schema is super important. And the thing about basic schema now is you almost have to take the next step for schema to be successful. But basic schema, each page stands on its own. This is the biggest mistake I see people make with schema is that they'll throw up a video on a site-wide schema and that video is really only on 1 or 2 or 3 pages. So just look at each page separately besides everything else. It's a good way to tell the search engines more about your page. Another mistake I see people make is they'll use the same title and description that they use on their header tags or their title tags. They'll use those same things within their schema. Schema gives you an opportunity to add more, to tell more, to show more, to do more. Take advantage of it. So use a different title and description. Use productology if available. Productology is the big brother of Wikipedia. So I'll show you when we get into the schema tomorrow, then we'll show you how all the differences between the difference between productology and just straight wiki links. Default schema is okay on every page. Don't let this, if you're a roofing company, then yeah, you can have roofing contractors or default schema on every single page. There's nothing wrong with that. So be careful with review schema. Review schema is only good if you have the review on the page. So if you use review schema, you have to make sure that that exact text is on the page. Otherwise, you're going to get a review penalty. Each page should not include aggregate rating. Sorry. Oops. Dang it. So yeah, each page should not include aggregate ratings. Aggregate ratings now typically will only be on your service pages. And that's hit or miss. I still don't think Google knows what the heck they're doing as far as aggregate ratings, but it should not be on the entire website and it should not be on non-important pages like, the privacy page, policy page, stuff like that. Choose the top 3 schemas that fit that page. This is super important. One of the things that we're finding out in our testing is Google really only shows 3 schemas at the most. Now, Google is also now combining schemas. So if you think you have 3 schemas on a page, Google's now combining them into one. And that's okay, gives you opportunity for more. But, the one thing that I tell people is don't put so much schema in there that Google's not going to start showing what they want to show. So like the web design schema or website schema is almost a wasted schema. I still use it, but I only use it in conjunction with a service schema. So again, we'll show all that stuff tomorrow. Schema for local pages is super powerful. We'll show you more about that tomorrow. E-com schema should include the brand, the product, and reviews. Make sure the review is on the page and remove aggregate ratings if there is not one on the page. Or if there is one on the page. So you don't want to mix up an actual review of a product and an aggregate rating. They're not compatible. All right, so kind of a little bit about what we use as far as software. I always get asked this. We're predominantly an Aveda theme house. We probably do 90% of our websites in Aveda. We do not do Divi. We convert Divi. We hate Divi. So we use Gravity Forms religiously. We do funnels with Gravity Forms. We do payment systems with Gravity Forms. We do, checklists. I mean, there's everything you can do with Gravity Forms. Security, we use Got MLS by Eli. And that's one of the things that we found. I also do a lot of malware cleanup and programs like WordFence and everything else that, are just not compatible. They're not good products to use. So Got MLS by Eli, it's a free product. I would encourage you to donate a little bit because it's going to give you a ability to put it on more websites. But it's a firewall, it's a cleaner, it's a preventer, and it does a lot of cool stuff as far as brute force attacks and stuff like that. And it's not real heavy as far as a heavyweight plugin. For image compression, we use Imagify. SEO Press as far as our SEO plugin. We were using Project Supremacy for a long time. I don't use Yoast or what's the other SEO? I can't remember. Anyways, but we like SEO Press Pro in our testing. It's a lightweight scheme. It's a lightweight plugin. We don't use the schema portion of it, even though it does have a decent schema portion in it. But it does have the stuff that we like. It has the sitemap choices we like. We like the flexibility of sitemaps. So it's just a good overall tool for us. Our schema is manual. You'll see that tomorrow. I build a bunch of templates, which you guys will get access to the templates. 404 redirection plugin. I think a lot of people use that. Page optimization, we use Pop and Cora, have for a long time and will for a long time. Keyword research, I use Google's Keyword Manager and Longtail Pro. I've had Longtail Pro for years, and I'm still a huge fan of it. The reason why I have Longtail Pro is because it also shows me available domain names within the keyword research. So a lot of times I'll go buy domain names if our clients don't want them. Our basic web audits are done by SEO Profiler. That's just the free audit we give to proposals and stuff like that. For full web audits, we use NetPeak, Spider, Sitebulb, and we do a lot of manual stuff. Link audits, which we do a lot of. Again, SEO Profiler, we use Cognitive, and we use link research tools. And some manual. Manual is just basically checking eyeballs type stuff. Rank checker, we use Certbook. That's what was up above. I think it's the best out there, even though they're not all perfect. None of them are perfect. They're just, as far as we explain to our clients about rankings, it's just a guide. So again, we all know you can drive 5 miles away from your yard and check again, and the search results are going to be different. So we try to teach that to our clients right out of the gate. And our presentations, we do a lot of on-site stuff, and we use SERPworks and Ahrefs for our presentations. So basically, that's it. Let me see. I'm going to start looking at, okay, questions. All right. Oh, why not Divi? Okay, Divi before 3.0 was decent. When they went to 3.0, and now I think they're into the 4s, they came into a real big trouble with crawl. So after 3.0, Divi was averaging about a 40% crawl on the page, which basically means you're only crawling the top 40%. And for some reason, it was stopping the crawl, and the Google bot was bouncing. Unfortunately, right now, since they changed Search Console around, we don't really have good access to the site, the fetch and render part of Google. The fetch and render is where you see that type of stuff. Do I get a full crawl? Do I get a partial crawl? Where's the crawl stopping at? Why is it stopping? And it became really, really bad when Divi changed to 3.0. I don't know if it was the way they did their structure of their Divi builder or whatever they did, but it did a lot of damage to Divi. And the second part of Divi is just the builder itself. It's just, I think it's bulky and hard for our VAs to use, and it's kind of like Southwest Airlines. You pick your products, and you try to stay with those products because it causes your training to be a lot less. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, and Elizabeth hates Divi, so that's another thing too. Don't ever piss off the web design side. Okay, so define external pages. External pages are going to be anything that's going to be linking back to you or back to your site. So again, those pages can be content for a guest post, or it can be content that goes within a press release. We do a lot of press releases. We do a lot of press release stacking. And so we always want content. Our content library is pretty massive because we always want to make sure that we have content for whatever topic we're going after. And then as far as what topic we put on the external pages, again, we'll put them on Web 2s. We'll put them on, the IFTT system. We'll put them in a branded, WordPress site or whatever we've built out. But the external content, or external pages, as we call them, are always pages that just gives you a new backlink back to whatever page you're trying to promote. So we always just make sure we have content for that. Let's see. Okay, let me get here. Let me share again. Hold on. Share. All right. So there you go, Miss Monique. Okay, what do we have here? Do you manually draw your silo map or use a tool to illustrate your links? Yeah, we did. I mean, I'm old school. I still use Microsoft Visio. And we do it for every single website. And we it's just more of a brain dump for us to try to figure out how are we going to structure this thing? What is the current structure? And then how we're going to change it. And we do all this kind of even right when we get a client. So we kind of have an idea going forward as far as the research we've done before the proposal. But when they become a client, the very first thing we do is site structure. And we try to figure out what do they have? What do they need? What do we need to get rid of? We're also starting now to get rid of a lot of junk stuff. I'm a big believer that if you have light content on pages, you need to either add more content or get rid of those pages. Again, it's all based on crawl budget. You want Google to crawl the pages that you're trying to rank. So you don't want to have a bunch of pages out there with 200 words on them, and it's just not going to give you any kind of authority or any kind of power to do anything with them. So let me see here. Yeah, I'll put the slides up for sure. Oh, you mean the let's see. Yeah, the other one is Sitebulb. So hold on. My mouse is really that one. This is Sitebulb. So, but I understand Screaming Frog has something like this now too. I haven't played much with it. Can you give an example of an external page? Yeah, let me see if I can find one here. Yeah. Let me see. I'll have to find one, Robert. I wasn't prepared for that. So I'll get you one. I'll put it up there. But basically, it's just another blog post. So let's say, for instance, it's a WordPress.org site, that we built out for our brand or whatever we're doing. We build stacks for our brand and we build stacks for our main keyword pages. So those are the stuff we use our external pages for. So if I'm writing a page about the best web designers in Colorado, we'll write 2 of those pages. We'll post one on the blog on the main website, and we'll take the other one and we'll post it on an external page with a link back to that blog page, if that kind of makes sense.
Check the Q&A because there's questions in there that people are asking questions in 2 different spots.
Okay, sorry about that. Image compression, Imagify. Does this strip the EXIF data? There's actually a box in there you can check to not strip the EXIF data. CDNs, yes or no? I actually don't use CDNs. I had a massive problem with Cloudflare about a year ago, and actually lost like 9 sites, and they were down for 4 days. And it had nothing to do with anything that we did, but we couldn't even get at the sites. And so I don't like that loss of control. So we basically brought them all back in, and we do a lot of them with just cPanel. We have our own hosting systems, but everything's just basically a cPanel. But I mean, content development network or delivery networks, I'm not a big fan. I know some people are. We just had bad luck with them, and I never went back. Let's see here. Exit data. Do you recommend settings, ways to get Aveda super fast? Yeah, hire Clint Butler. Clint's our speed demon. But the biggest thing we use WP Rocket, and we use just the image compressor, and obviously we make the images small before we even put them up there. The nice thing about Aveda nowadays is it's not bloated anymore. So unless you want the e-commerce part, it's a completely separate system. So it's not sitting in the bloat so much. But yeah, we like it just because we can do anything with it. You can hide headers per page. You can hide footers. You can actually make real looking landing pages with no navigation on them at all. And you can do all this with inside of Aveda. There's some other themes out there that do the same. And we are looking at Oxygen right now. So I don't know if we're going to stay with Aveda. That's something we're going to talk about. But right now, the flexibility of it, and we've done over 500 websites with it, so we're kind of familiar with it. So that's obviously the biggest thing. It's always scary to change, especially when you're talking staff. How can we get the slides? Yes, I'm going to put the slides up in the Facebook group. Let me see. And I can also email them out. So don't use much demo content. We build with short codes. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, that was Elizabeth. What do I think of rank math? To be honest with you, I've never actually used it. The one thing that when I started looking at it, then I understand they just went through another security breach a couple days ago. But when I looked at it a few months ago, it was the same type of thing. It was a hit and miss type of reviews that I was seeing. So one reason we chose SEO Press Pro is because it had a lot of great reviews. And so that's the reason why we tried it and we like it. And it's cheap. We have a developer license. It's like $85 and we can put it on unlimited sites. So I'm not a big fan of free, just because of the fact I think it's just limited technology when it's free. Do you have any tips on using the right settings for SEO Press? I do, actually. Let me do I'll do a quick video about that. That's a good point. So yeah, there's some check boxes that you need to check in SEO Press for sure, like there are in a lot of things. Pop back over here. Let's see here. All right, I'm just scrolling. Hold on just a second here. Uh-oh. No, the first side showing 71 pages. Okay, Miss Monique. There. External pages equals PBN. Yes, it can, for sure, 100%. We have our own network, so that's a lot of our content goes to our network. And we do use AWS. Different from internal content. It's like I said, when we go out to get our writers to write articles, we have them write 2 of each. So they're very similar, but they're not. If you put both of them in Copyscape, they won't trigger anything. Let's see here. Okay. Super happy with Auction and Rocket. Yep, I've heard a lot of good things about Auction, so we are definitely going to do that. So, yeah, thank you, Simon, for ditching Divi. Let me see. I don't see any use for rank math. So why not get the Thinnest SEO plugin? Yes. Thank you. Do all the blogs, etc., up front in your 71 pages. The 12 blog posts, yes. We actually write 4 blogs for each client every single month is our goal. And a lot of times we don't load that many. So like I said, our content library is actually pretty good, because we don't load 4 a month, or we don't need to load 4 a month, whatever it is. A lot of times when we blog for our clients, 1, they don't know. And 2, there's not even a blog link on the main structure. We're just strictly using it for supportive content. Let me see. What was that about Auction? Oh, just that we're actually looking and testing Auction right now. We use Aveda, and we've heard a lot of good things about the Auction theme. No, we do not duplicate content on blogs. Duplicate content. They're close, they're similar, but they're not duplicate.
And then Caroline had a Q&A.
Pop back over here. You may want to go later, but when do you do schema manually? How would you do product schema for say 20 to 30,000 products? Good question. Basically charge them a lot of money. Caroline asked, how do we do schema manually when you got thousands and thousands of products? It's super time consuming. It's because we do it manually, you can make a lot of stuff the same, but when it gets down to products, the product schema itself has to be separate for each product. So we haven't found a tool yet that satisfies us to do that for us. So it's just a time thing. We start picking the top 5% of the products, and we start just working down from there. So the largest one we've done is 6,000 products, and it took us about 6 weeks to do all of them. That was just products. But like I said, we started with the ones that had the highest selling feature and sold the most items compared to the bottom ones. And so we are trying to work on a system that when our clients load new products, that they also can do the schema. But that's kind of on the back burner right now. When you say AWS for PBNs, are you building HTML sites in the AWS buckets? Yes. And we don't have many of them just because I actually think AWS hosting is going to go away. Only just because I think it's being abused. But yes, we do have PBM HTML sites up there, script sites. We do a lot of stuff with buckets, but we also have our own PBN network. That's just, regular hosted type stuff. All right, flip back to the chat. How am I doing on time? Okay, good. Let's see. Can you use duplicate content from money site on external pages, drive stacks? Yes, you can. I mean, the duplicate content thing, duplicate content on city pages, we do it all the time. And it's not all duplicate content because our city pages have a lot about the city. So I think our ratio is 40% content about the service, 60% content about the city itself on our city pages. We found that to be the best kind of ratio. Here, matter of fact, I'll show you one. You guys can find this stuff anyways. All right, drag this over here. Can you guys see this now? Okay, so this is one of my city pages. So it's in Chandler, obviously, Chandler, Arizona. We have a little bit about, the stuff about web design and all this stuff, the best web designers, and then we have all this stuff about Chandler. So we have all the information about Chandler. We have things to do in Chandler. We have notable residents. We go crazy with our city pages. We have the lat long with it linking back to the map. We have driving directions from Chandler to our offices in Tempe. We found this to be really powerful with the actual written directions. I got to take that off. I don't know why that's there. But just kind of gives you an idea how we set up our city pages. Our city pages, we also use sidebars differently than a lot of people. So I got to fix that. The sidebars we use for contact information. We always throw a video in them so we can have video schema on the page if we want it. And then if it's a Chandler page, we put our state information on the sidebar. It's just stuff that we've tested and done and found it to be super successful. And it's stuff that, it's stuff that takes a lot of work to begin with, but once it's done, you just sit back and reap the benefits. So, there's nothing in here as far as there's some links out here to the different, big things around Grand Canyon, obviously. These are links within just the web design. And then, of course, a couple testimonials. So that's our city pages. Our city pages are massive, but they rank pretty dang well. See anything else in the chat? Nope. Okay. Okay, hold on here. Well, I'm trying to catch up here with the chat. Bear with me. Okay, good. All right, cool. All right, perfect. All right, any other questions? Oh, here we go. I got some more here. Is the state info same across city pages? Yes, for that state on the sidebar. So if it's Scottsdale, Phoenix, whatever city page it is, it'll be into the same thing. So like our Texas pages have the stuff about Texas in the sidebar. Anybody else? We got 10 more minutes. Okay, hold on. So I got to get rid of stuff. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know I had to get rid of stuff. Yep. Got that one done. Got that one done. Got that one done. All right. Anybody else? What do you do about optimizing images? Basically, as far as, we do the EXIF data. I don't do a lot of it. We put them up in Amazon buckets. We call the image from Amazon. On some things. So on the money pages, we kind of do it differently. On the money pages themselves, which Chandler Web Design is a money page, then we will go out and we'll say, okay, we want to do this image, we'll do, and we'll optimize that image as far as the EXIF data. We'll go in and we even do some other stuff with the image as far as schema. We'll put an image schema on it, which our schema for images is just massive, which I'll show you guys tomorrow. But there's all kinds of stuff we do for image optimization. For a long time, I wasn't a big fan of even Google or indexing our images. So we just started a few months ago allowing, I guess you could say, Google to grab our images. So I still haven't seen much from it, but we just do it just because it's just part of our SOP. Good question, Marty. Unique content on city pages? Not necessarily. Like I said, it just depends. We have unique content on this site just because it's an old site. So a lot of this content was done years ago before you even knew that you could do duplicate content. So, but we have city pages on plumbers and HVAC and roofers and stuff like that. And duplicate content's not a problem that we see at all. So as you kind of hope to think that the Phoenix page, the same person is not going to bring up the Phoenix page as they will the Scottsdale page. That's the kind of thinking of it. Do you have any external links on your city pages? Sites, GMap of a local place. Yes. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yes. We have lots of internal links out to the information. So, let me see. Things to do. So yeah, so we have all the different stuff. There's all kinds of links. I forget how many links are on this page. I think there's 20 external links or something. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've worked on it. Okay. All right. More questions. Cool. How do you work out how much supporting content you need? Is there a general rule? There's really not. We do a lot of search intent. So the Google suggests. So we'll write blogs around Google suggests. We'll write blogs around intent. We'll write blogs around the best. We'll write blogs about why, differences, versus, that type of stuff. But we just like writing content. We just like having content on an ongoing basis. So yeah, we'll take old content, we'll regurgitate it and add some more content to it and make it new, do a redirect. So we do all kinds of stuff with blogs, as far as the older blogs specifically, but, yeah, so we just, we try to keep it all relevant for sure. How do I add EXIF data to your images? I actually have a tool from Matthew Versteege, which he's speaking at the conference too. I'm not sure the name of the tool. I'm sure he'll talk about it. How to get stars show and SERPs for local service site on city pages. That's the aggregate rating. And it's hit or miss still today. So we do know that it needs to be on local service pages and even service pages, but local service pages more often. And where to get that data from is the big question. When aggregate ratings first came out, we were told we couldn't use the Google numbers. So if you had 35 reviews and they're 4.8 on Google, then you couldn't use those in your EXIF or in your aggregate rating. So we never did. So we just made up numbers. And so for a long time, the made up numbers worked perfectly. And nowadays, though, it's still hit or miss. We went back to the Google numbers. So if the GMB says you've got 12 reviews and you average 4.6, then that's what we use for the aggregate ratings. But again, it's still hit or miss. We put it with inside local schema, which we'll show you tomorrow. And some days they'll show up, next day it won't. So again, I don't think Google's quite figured out what they want to do with the star ratings, because it was massive for a while. It was everywhere, and then it disappeared completely. And then we heard read little articles here and there about things we can try. And the best we can tell is it's still not figured out yet. But tomorrow we're going to show you guys how to put it in your schema, and then at least have it there so if Google does decide to show it. I wish it would, because it is a super conversion feature. So I used to get converted on bottom of page 1 because I was the only one on the page with stars. So that's not necessarily the case anymore, which is a bummer. Do you create citations for different internal pages? Not citations. The only time we only create citations for actual maps, but we will create stacks, and we will create. We have an IFTT network for the entire site, so we might include some triggers to trigger inside the with a link to the inside pages. But typically the citations, we don't, unless we own the map, we don't build citations for them. But we do. We'll put I'll put this driving directions map, and I'll send links to this map on this page. But that's really not creating a citation by any means. Okay, everything going here. Oh, thanks, Al, for the link for Matt's stuff. See, JC's keeping up on this stuff over here. How often do you update your static service pages? Actually, we don't very often. The only time I might, because these are already popped. So once they're popped using pop, we pretty much will leave them alone. So we did add a lot of schema to this website in the past 45 days, which we'll show you again tomorrow. But as far as the actual content on the pages themselves, we hardly ever touch them. All right, cool. Well, looks like my time is up. So I'm going to get out of here, and please, I'll be in the lobby around. Come chat with me. Come do whatever you want. I hope this is okay. Like I said, this is the first one out of the gate. We have a lot more coming, and I appreciate you guys. So thanks. Hope we got a couple more. Great. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, perfect. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.